God bless you, everybody. Hope everyone's doing well. I'm not gonna be before you long. I had this dream. It was sort of like a short story. Every now and then, God will give me one of those. Um, so this dream uh, is basically about um, for those of you that have um, started your journey with the Lord at a point where you had a very let's say like a hardened heart. You started your journey, and you kind of was like rough, like someone did me wrong, so I'm the type of person, I'm gonna get them back. Or someone did me wrong and I'm never gonna let anybody else hurt me like that, so I'm just gonna keep a wall around my heart 24/7. So you started out just very hard due to life circumstances, you know and so you had this wall around your heart. And if you think about the natural heart, in the natural, if you think about your heart is one of the most protected organs, in your body. It has a whole rib cage around it. It has a whole cage around it. It's protected, because if that heart goes, you done. Like, you're done. Same thing with the brain. The brain has a very it has a very it's very protected with the skull. It's very protected. So the the heart, so it's natural for people to have the defense mechanism to want to protect their heart and the spirit. You know what I mean? To want to protect your soul, to want to protect it, because it's very sensitive. So a lot of times when you see people responding in angry or violent ways, or they just seem very unaffectionate, is because it's their defense mechanism to protect themselves from getting hurt again. So some of us have had a very stony heart, a heart of stone, because not because you're wicked or anything like that. It's just because you've been hurt before and you're not trying to get hurt again. You're not trying to get hurt again. But the problem with that, it not only creates a protection or wedge against other people, it puts a wedge between you and God. It carries over into your relationship with God, because it's not like humans are a very complicated being. So it's not like, all right, well, I have my hardness on for other people, but then I'm gonna be soft before God. It doesn't work like that. And so if you are in a state where you want to make sure that you have your defenses up, you have your wall up, that you just, you know what I mean, like, you just hard. If you're in a state like that, for some people it's very hard to drop all those defenses when you come before God in worship or even in prayer. It's very hard to become vulnerable, and it creates a blockage between you and God. But God is saying that for some of you, you have worked through all that. You've walked with God, and you've allowed Him to chip away at that stony heart. And you've allowed Him to give you a heart of flesh. And you've allowed, and in the course of that, you have allowed yourself to be um, vulnerable, and allowed yourself to love again, basically to love people, to love them with the love of Christ. You can't really be loving on people with the love of Christ if you're hard, if your defenses are up so much that you can't be soft before people. And so God is saying that you've allowed that to you've allowed God to come in and chip away at your heart piece by piece. You were willing, you were willing. It was like you had this hardness, this hard exterior about you, but you didn't want to be that way. You didn't want to be that way, and God saw that, and God said, you allow me to just come in and chip, chip, chip. And God is just saying that He is well pleased that you allowed Him to come and make you over and to give you a clean, pure heart, and that you allowed forgiveness to come and you opened yourself up to allow yourself to forgive the people um who have hurt you. And you it's the emphasis is on the willingness. Like you wanted to forgive, these people, but you didn't know how. You knew that it was well pleasing to God to forgive, and you know you it's hard to describe this. You just allowed yourself, you opened yourself up to even the idea of forgiveness. Because you know how some people are just like, no, they did this and I'm not forgiving them. How could I possibly forgive what they did? It was so heinous, or whatever it was how can I forgive them for what they did? I'm not even going to attempt to forgive. So you have some people like that. But God is saying that you weren't like that, that you came to Him. You might have been like that, but you came to Him and you decided to let your defenses down, that you decided to go on this journey. Whatever you had to do, read a book to how to figure out how to actually do it. Because sometimes you can say, I forgive. You can say it with lip service and you want to forgive, but you still harboring stuff. And it's something that God has to come in to do to help you. You just have to be willing. You just have to be willing. So God is well pleased that you allowed yourself to forgive and to free yourself. And God is saying, because of that, because you went on this journey with Him, because you went on this walk with Him, to allow yourself to forgive and to allow yourself to be soft, before men, and to be soft before Him. And you allowed that to happen. You allowed that journey, that process to happen. God is saying that those people that did you wrong, that talked about you, that and they continue to, God is saying that people are going to see, because you conducted yourself well, and God is well pleased of how you conducted yourself. You didn't take matters in your own hands. You didn't backbite. You didn't try to retaliate or whatever. God is saying, because you didn't do that, people are going to see that person for what they are. People are going to see it for themselves. It's like out of their own mouth, they're going to condemn their own self, and people are going to see it and say, what? This don't even make sense. You did it. Like, they're going to be like, whatever you talking about, no, it was you. So people are going to see it. People are going to see it, not that you go and not that you go and you're like, nanny nanny boo boo, you getting what you know what I mean, you're getting what you're supposed to be getting. That's not going to be your role. You're not going to be doing that. You're going to be a mature person, and you're just going to be continue to pray for that person. And that's how you continue to be soft before the Lord, is that you continue to pray for that person. However, the Holy Spirit leads you to pray for them. But I remember, I'm just going to leave you with this story, but I remember, like I said, like I've said in previous videos, I had a really hard time with worshiping before God and just letting loose, just being free before God and just, just enjoying myself in the Lord. I really had a hard time with it. And one of the reasons why was because of my hard exterior. It wasn't like I was like a type of person that I'm gonna fight everybody. It was just that I was standoffish. I just didn't want to get close to people because I felt like they're gonna hurt me, So I didn't really want to get close to people, and I really wasn't in tune with. And people say emotions are bad. They're not. They're not bad. God gave you your emotions for a reason. It's just that you shouldn't be saying this is the Holy Spirit when it's just your emotions. Now that's an issue. But I really wasn't. I wouldn't allow myself to show or feel any emotion. The only emotion that would come up out of me was anger. That was the only thing that I would allow to come out. You wouldn't see me crying. You wouldn't see me. I just was pretty much flat. Didn't show, because I just didn't want to show emotion. At a certain point in my life, I made what they call an inner vow, and the inner vow was I am never going to cry, because I remember being in the third grade and crying and feeling like it didn't do anything. The situation is still the same. Everybody is looking at me, and now I look weak. And so I made a vow that I would never cry. And that's an issue because it translates over into your relationship with the Lord, because it's like, if I'm because people would think, well, it's God, so why would you translate that over into God? But it does. Like I said, you can't turn on and off a light switch. If you have programmed yourself to not feel, to not connect with anyone, it translates over into your relationship with God. And so I remember when I started the journey with the Lord in the very beginning, I remember we were having this Bible study, and someone said, I want to play this song, and they were like, oh, it's such a tearjerker. And I remember sitting in that Bible study and saying to myself, well, I'll be the only one sitting up here looking stupid because I'm just going to be a stone. And I remember God saying to me in a Bible study, but I'm going to give you a heart of flesh. It's your willingness. It's your desire to want to be soft before the Lord. So if you're someone that's hard and you don't really show emotion, God is saying that He's going to do that for you. He's going to do that for you. It's just continue to seek Him, continue to speak to Him, just like any other relationship. When you're working on a relationship, you have to have it has to be reciprocal. You're coming to that person and that person's coming to you, and you talk, you have a relationship, you love on each other. And I guess the issue was I really didn't know how to love. And a lot of that, all of that translated over into my relationship with the Lord and caused an issue. I'm just here to encourage you that, if you are walking with God and, you're in the beginning stages, or you've been walking with God, God is going to show you His loving kindness. And there's not going to be any doubt. There's not going to be any doubt. Just continue to walk with Him. No matter how hard you are in the beginning, God is going to begin to melt you. So there's many levels to this word today. Just a brief recap. That God is going to begin to reveal those that did you wrong. God is going to begin to reveal that. And God is going to if you're in a stage where you're very hard, God is just going to begin to melt you. You're not always going to be in that condition. And for some it's going to be like a little scary because that's how you survive. That's, that's that coping mechanism is how you survived in the environment that either you lived in or just, yeah, this is how you survived in the environment, and it's gotten you through. It's defense mechanisms, and these coping defense mechanisms are put there um so that you don't go crazy, basically. But then when you find God, he wants you to pull down all those defense mechanisms because he is your defense. He is your shield. He is your protector. And so you have to trust that he is going to defend you. Um, does that mean going ahead and let people step all over you? No, I'm not saying that. But there's a difference between being a doormat and between being someone who is just so hard that they can't feel, they can't connect with God. They have the mentality, I'm gonna get you before you get me, type of thing. I'm gonna hurt you before you hurt me so that I don't get hurt, you know. So yeah, so that's basically it, guys. I love you, and we'll meet again. Bye bye.